to another live broadcast. My name is Chris, and you should know by now this is Barn on 11970. Welcome, my Barn on Warriors. I hope you are all enjoying your day. And we are going to go over what they're saying is the first ever Commander-in-Chief Forum. This was not a debate, but it was a discussion that was hosted by Matt Lauer on NBC, and basically gave a little bit under 30 minutes for each candidate to answer a few questions, and I want to go over that. Now, for those of you who have not seen it, I did post the link in the description. If you want to see it in its entirety, you can. I'm not going to show any clips here because I just want to make sure that there's no issues with this video because I think this is important. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. When I first heard about this, I thought there would be just some softball questions. I really thought that, especially being on NBC, they would make this into a wonderful thing for Hillary Clinton. And I can pleasantly be surprised to say that was not the case. So I'm going to give my thoughts now. Of course, this is my opinion, so yours may differ. I'm not going to tell anybody to pick sides. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I don't believe either candidate, or anyone for that matter, can be the singular change in a corrupt system. But with that being said, here we go. All right. Now, this was basically a closed-off section where it was pretty much military people in the audience. So if you're a military person, you're really going to like this forum that they did. I think this was way too short and needs to be much longer if they're going to do things like this in the future. It's just, they only got to maybe 3, maybe 4 questions tops. And what I saw is, at first, Hillary went first. There was a coin toss, Donald Trump won, and he let Hillary go first, which I think was a very good strategy. The first question to her right off the bat was about her emails and how basically, I mean, whether she's lying or not, I'll leave that up to you guys, but she did not handle herself very well. It seems like the questions were a lot of mild versions of attacks where she had to defend herself. So she spent roughly about 25 minutes of the time almost having to defend herself for things that she did, things that she regretted. So I think that's going to send an interesting message to people that watch mainstream media, especially since it was on NBC. So a lot of people are going to be covering this. So it wasn't like it was Fox News where they could say, oh, that's more of a Republican news station. This is one that's pretty much, without saying, a Democratic kind of mainstream media channel. So they started out, and Matt Lauer, I don't know how to pronounce his name, nor do I really care, starts out with the whole email scandal, saying, how could we trust somebody like this as president? She was on the defensive for most of the time. So that was actually a little shocking to me. I really thought, I could see maybe they had audience members that might say something. I just thought typically they'll do softball questions. So I think overall, hers, she answered the questions, but it was very much a defensive mode for the majority of her time. But she did try and evade the question as much as possible. When she did walk in, there were applause. No one was booing or anything like that, so she did get applause. And that was pretty much it. So as far as Hillary Clinton is concerned, I don't think she made any progress or enlightened anybody with her section, because again, she was mostly on the defensive, and that shows that at least the people there are paying attention to what's going on. So I give kudos to especially the first gentleman who asked that question about the emails and the way that he did it. So that was very pleasing to me. When Donald Trump came in, there were a little bit more applause, but it wasn't dramatic differences. No one stood up or anything like that. He answered questions, I feel, better. He did attack Hillary a little bit more. Especially in the beginning on both of them, they said, let's keep that to a minimum. So to be fair, Donald Trump was a little bit more on the attack towards Hillary Clinton, even though they asked not to do that. Um, Again, the question, see, these were the questions that people asked. They asked about Iran. They asked about the emails. They asked about, what either president will do with veterans. They talked about the Middle East. They definitely talked about ISIS and what to do in a warlike situation. So that is pretty much every single topic they covered. Now, again, I really feel if they're going to do something like this in the future, it needs to be longer. Because the problem I have is if you are in the military, then you are going to be very happy with this forum that they did. Because the questions were all by either veterans of past and present of the military. And every question had to do with war, the veterans, Middle East, Iran, ISIS, all those things, which is nice, but we have a lot more problems. Nobody brought up the Fed, the Federal Reserve. Nobody talked about the economy or the monetary system or the banks or how businesses are leaving the country. So I think this is something where it's a good start, but they really need to get into this on a much deeper level. So I would like to know if anybody actually saw this. It happened. It aired last night. And again, if you're just tuning in the description of this video, whether it's live or not, at the time you're watching it, I did post a link to the video where you could see it, commercial free in its entirety on somebody else's channel. So I would recommend watching it. But I mean, honestly, unless you are part of the military, you're not really going to get much out of this. So pretty much just listening to what I say is going to save you the time. It's pretty much Hillary is on the defensive. Trump handles himself fairly decent, although he has to be careful about how he insults the generals and people in the military. He's got to be careful about that. That's not going to bode well for him. But this was too short. They just talked about the war, potential wars, ISIS, and they didn't get anything into our financial problems, our welfare problems, and things like that. So, they were definitely put on the spot, and I could say of the two, Donald Trump came out looking more in control. He answered all the questions decently with authority, um, and Hillary was just more on the defensive. So I think that is going to leave an interesting impression to some of the people that may be on the fence or maybe thought Hillary was the one. When they watch this, they may have some doubts. On the other end, I think Donald Trump might have got more people on his side. Now, with that being said, I know this is a corrupt system. The people's votes, as much as we want to wish they would count, unfortunately, they're not going to go that way. I really hope it will. I would love to be proven wrong with that one. But like I've said repeatedly, I think if in a corrupt system, with all the things I've been researching and listening to lately, especially like the video I did yesterday, not many people watched it. I really recommend you watch it. It's talking about, when they were having congressional hearings and all the ways that they word everything so no one takes responsibility for anything. They're always dodging questions. They will never answer a straight question. The president can't change that. There's just too many spokes in the wheel for any president to be able to fix that unless you basically trash this and restart it over again. So I'm not going to make this video very long. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to try and answer them. But Stacking AG said Trump's answers were still pretty vague. I agree. In one sense, I agree with his motives. Like when they asked about, what he would do, against ISIS, the last thing you want to do is say what you're going to do because, in this day of the internet, anybody can get in any information. So I can understand why he didn't say that. But yeah, I mean, they're in a 30-minute, and with commercials and everything, it's probably down to like 22 minutes apiece. There's not really enough time. And I think if something is this important, there should be 1 to 3 hours worth of time to allow them to speak and talk about more variety of subjects. So it's a start, but I just think there was not enough time. Maybe that was done on purpose. I don't know. So that's my thoughts on this. You can vote for who you want. I say the best way to get out of the system is no longer participate in it, but that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, the link is in the description below. Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section when this uploads. If you're watching this live, wait until it comes back again when it's uploaded. Leave your thoughts and let's get a dialogue going. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys and girls out there have a great day, and just keep an eye out on what's coming. I'll see you soon.